Hello and welcome to a book review on interesting ideas I found in this book, Excellent Sheep. I'll start with a quick review and then I'll go through some of the notes I took while listening to this book. So overall, I'll give this book about 4 stars. It's almost got a 3, but it's quite interesting and written pretty well. It's quite interesting perspective about elite universities. This is what mostly talks about elite universities and the way they treat students. But it's also very important to any other colleges. So I'm in college right now, and I definitely learned some things to this book that is still applicable to me as a student. So it's a really interesting perspective, and there is some things to learn. It's a little too long, I would say. Definitely a little too long. It could be shorter, so we can keep reiterating itself. The authors keep saying the same things in different ways. But overall, it's quite easy. It's not too hard. It's not very hard to listen or read. And especially if you're a student or you have some ideas about going to college, or you went to college and you didn't like it, that would be good. Let's see the notes. First one is, elite universities students like to go to consulting because they can. So many of them, I don't want to say most, but many of them are going to consulting. One of the reasons is just because they can, and they will make good money. Next one is, it's ever more hard for professors to give less than a B+ to students who rely on positive feedback. Giving a real-time feedback is not as important anymore, and giving less than a B+, it's almost they can do it. They can do it because then they will complain, the students will complain, and will be problems. So they can't do that anymore, especially because students rely on positive feedback. So when they don't get those positive feedback, and they get upset and they go somewhere to complain. Next one is, side note. I feel like the author is a bit angry with universities more than needed. So you really feel like he had some bad experience in the past with universities, and I don't think it's fully justified. I understand that, yeah, they do some things in a bad way, or they're not fully, how do you say that? They're not fully efficient, and they have their flaws, but he takes a much hard stance than I think is necessary. Next one is, purpose is doing something, not being something. Some people think that being something is to have a purpose in life. I like this distinction, but doing something is have a purpose and not being something. If you just being something, it doesn't mean that you have a purpose. That next one is, the 20s are a long question mark in which you waste time in order to find yourself. It's a really important one. Could be one of my favorites notes. One of my favorite notes in the book. So your 20s, people usually take it really hard. So your 20s, what you should do is just a long question mark. And the whole idea is to waste a little bit of time just so you understand what you like and what you don't like. It's not good for you to know since day one or since 5th grade what you want to be for the rest of your life. It's a little bit not real. Next, even when students decide to contribute and volunteer, they usually do that where it's cool or hip. So even when they actually try to contribute back to the community, mostly what he talks about is elite universities, but I'm sure it happens in other universities and colleges. So even when they go do that, they actually go when it's hip or cool, because they always try to advance themselves in the job market. Next, science is used to describe the external world, while humanities describe how does it feel to be alive. So it's two different things, good distinction. Science is used to describe the external world, Well, humanities, that's why he puts a lot of emphasis about the humanities and liberal arts. So the humanities describe how does it feel to be alive. So it's two different realms. Professors should be more like mentors rather than a medium of transferring information. That's the use of professor, not just transferring information. We can get that information anywhere else, but they should be used as mentors. That's more important. Professors should not give psychological advice, the same as psychologists not grading papers. I really like this quote, this note, because many of them do. So again, I'm in college for a few years now, and many of the professors give psychological advice on a variety of subjects. And they should not do that, same as psychologists not grading papers. It's just not their job, and they're not good at it. So, important. Next, even when universities have some diversity, they don't have economic diversity. So again, he talks about elite universities. So even when the universities do have some diversity, that's what they do trying to do now, especially these days. But they don't have the economic diversity, which means most of all the students that go to elite universities are from the higher economic, socioeconomic status. So they don't have economic diversity. And that's the last one here. Side note, the author suggests wide changes that are unlikely to actually materialize. That's how he ends the book. He has wide changes he proposes for how we can transform universities and the education system. However, this is one of those two extreme measures. So he's not the only one. There's many authors. I'm sometimes think the same way, but it's too extreme, and usually things that are too extreme will not work. So I would like to have a much more realistic, I would say, plan to change things rather than what he proposes. So I think it's a little too extreme, and it would not work. It's a good idea. It's not a good idea, but it just would not work or materialize. That's the idea. So that's it for notes. And again, this book is really very well. It's a good idea. Definitely change a few things, the way I perceive college. But so that's why I give it 4 stars. So again, I really recommend to people who go to college especially to read that book, to change your perspective just a little bit. And that's it. Thank you.